Hello everyone. We are now going to start on with the first chapter of our syllabus SCR. Clear? Now write down the heading Foundation of Climate Change. Foundation of Climate Change. Foundation of Climate Change. Clear? And the crux of the topic is what is climate change? What is climate change? Now, before diving into it, okay, into the topic purely, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on with a small summary. Okay, basically that what we are going to study in this particular topic. That's what my agenda is. Clear? Now, we are going to talk about one of the biggest and most urgent issue which our world is actually facing. Clear? That is the climate change. And by the end of this chapter you will understand and you will have a basic understanding of what climate change is, how it's different from the weather, what actually causes it, and how we can actually deal with it. Clear? So now, being a student, okay, I don't presume that you have a knowledge of climate, scientific knowledge, all these things. So I am going to take it from a very basic in a very easy and a layman language. Clear? Along with me, make sure that you will prepare the notes. That will be easier for you to revise the concepts. Clear? So you can put it like this: mind map. Basically, we are going to study what's there in the topic and then we will dig inside it. Clear? Now, number one is your what is climate change? Write down what is climate change. So now your first question is what is climate change? What is climate change? Now, climate is the average weather over a long period, like 30 years. Try to understand that. Weather means what? What's the today's weather? I never say that what's the today's climate. Clear? I will tell you what's the today's weather. Clear? But if I'll talk about a climate, what is climate? It is the average weather over a long period. What it is? You can write it down in the form of notes. What is climate? Average weather over a long period. Average weather over a long period. Say 30 years. Say 30 years. Clear? Now, what climate actually includes? What climate actually includes? It includes your temperature. It includes your temperature. It includes your rainfall. It includes your wind and so on. Clear? So weather is a very short term, like it's raining today or it's sunny tomorrow. Clear? So climate is a very long term. Clear? So when I say climate change, we mean that there is a long term shift in the average climate. Clear? Like 30 years before, the average temperature used to be 40 to 45, but now the average temperature is 42 to 48. Now I can say now it's more hotter than before. So summers are more hotter. Clear? More flood. My glaciers are melting more than before. Clear? And this is happening globally over decades or even centuries. Clear? I'm not saying that these glaciers have started melting tomorrow or yesterday. No, over the decades, I'm calculating that, okay, 100 years before and now, what is the difference? What is the difference in my climate? What is the difference in my temperature? Clear? So this is the first question. What is climate change? So I have discussed what is climate, what is weather, and what is the meaning of climate change. Clear? Now, coming to the second point. How do we know climate change is real? Do we know? How do we know climate change is real? See, I don't know what happened 40 years or 50 years back. For me, it's very difficult. My age is less than that period. Or even if I'll talk about centuries, what had happened 200 years before. So it's very difficult for an individual to experience the change over the given small period of his life. Clear? So what we do, we have lots of evidence. We have lots of evidence. Clear? Based on global temperature is rising. Clear? Ice in the Arctic and glaciers are actually melting. Clear? Sea level is rising. Disasters like flood, drought, and hurricanes, they are becoming more frequent and they are becoming more intense. Clear? So what they do, they will, being a scientist, okay, it's the role of the scientist, the one who know the science. They will study the old ice cores, okay, tree rings, sediments, soil, modern satellite data to track these changes. So the question is, how we know this? Global temperature is rising, glaciers are melting, sea level is rising, your flood, drought, hurricanes, they are becoming more frequent, they are becoming more intense. Clear? And scientists are doing their own study with respect to all the elements of the earth, like air, like soil, like water, sediments. Okay, and these modern satellites are actually helping them to track these changes. Clear? Now, coming to the third question. Is climate change new? Is climate change is new? Means, say before 1700, was there a climate change? Yes or no? Or it's happening just now in the last 100 years or 150 years or 200 years? See, her it's the earth, and climate change has always changed naturally, okay, because of the volcanic eruptions, solar changes, ocean cycles, etc. Clear? But the point is the speed at which the climate is changing, and the main cause is human. So earlier the change of the climate was there, but the speed was low. But now the speed is very high, and the main cause is human. The main cause is human. Clear? Okay. Now note down the fourth point. How are humans changing the climate? How are humans changing the climate? See, in the previous question, I have actually blamed the human. So now your questions must be how we are doing it. Now, the biggest reason is the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, gas. Clear? They actually releases the greenhouse gases like CO2, carbon dioxide. Then we have methane, CH4, and nitrous oxide, N2O. Clear? Now, these gases, what they actually do, they trap the heat in the Earth's atmosphere. It act like a blanket, causing the planet to warm up, and this is known as the greenhouse effect. Clear? Some amount of this effect is natural and necessary, but now it's out of balance because of the human activity. We want the earth to remain warm, but now it's hotter. Why? Because of the human activities. Clear? Point number 5. Earth's energy balance. Earth's energy balance. Now, think of the earth as a system. Okay, it actually receives energy from the sun and send back some of the energy into the space. Clear? Now this greenhouse gases stops some of the energy from escaping and causing the warming, and this is called the earth energy balance. Now try to imagine that this is the earth. We have received the heat energy from the sun. Now if we will transfer all the energy back to the space, then the earth will become a chilled area. Okay, and you cannot stay with such a cold weather. It will become so cold if all your hotness will move out of the earth. That's what the greenhouse will do. They trap the heat so that even in the night you can feel some hotness. Clear? So this energy balance is very important. Clear? Point number 6: impact of climate change. Impact of climate change. What is the impact of climate change? This is what we have to do. So when we talk about the impact of climate change, so it actually affects everyone and everything. Clear? Like most extreme weather conditions like floods, drought, heat waves, okay, food and water insecurities, damage to the economies and the infrastructures, tsunamis is there, earthquake is there, health problem, loss of biodiversity. Clear? So these impacts are not equal. Clear? Some regions will have higher impact, okay, which will have very poor management of the climate, and they are more actually the people who live so in that particular area, they will suffer more. Clear? So I have discussed in short like what is the impact of it, but when we'll go dig inside and deeply, we will study each and everything in detail. Clear? Now we are just into the summary phase, that what we have to study. Clear? Now write down the next point. What can we do about it? What can we do about it? What can we do about it? See, we have three options. We have three options which we can actually do. Now what are those three options? First one is adaptation. Adaptation. Second is mitigation. Mitigation. And third one is geoengineering. Geoengineering. Clear? So now when I say adaptation, basically adjusting to the changes, like you can build the flood defense. Clear? Or switching to the drought resistance crops, okay, growing the crops which can actually protect you from being getting the soil become so dry. Clear? But be aware of maladaptations. What does this means? Actually which can make the problem more worse. Okay, like you are building like building the walls that will increase the flood risk downstream. Flood risk downstream, like this. So if you have built the walls over here, then what will happen? This area will be more impacted in that situations. Clear? Mitigations. It's about reducing the cause of climate change. Clear? How? Might be you can cut down, stop cutting down the trees. Okay, by cutting down the usage of C8, CO2 and other gases, okay, like methane, nitroxide and so more. Basically we have to reduce the usage of the greenhouse gases. Clear? So what we can do, what is the alternative? We can use the clean energy, we can use the electric vehicles, we can plant more trees, we can use the technology machinery which are energy efficient. Clear? So that we don't have to consume more of the electricity which is actually causing the pollution. Geoengineering, see, this is a very big thing. Clear? Science based intervention to actually cool the earth, like reflecting the sunlight or capturing the carbon from the air. Okay, sunlight which coming and you reflected it back outside the earth. Clear? Or you trap the carbon from the air into some balloon kind of structure, so there is no greenhouse gases in the air which will trap the heat. Clear? Point number 8: understanding the future scenarios. Okay, it's like scientists actually create a model to predict the future climate change using the different emission pathway, and we call it as ssp. ssp, what it is? It is a shared socio-economy pathways. Shared socio-economy pathways. Clear? Basically this is for understanding that how our earth is going to be impacted with the climate change, and based on that we will take our business decision whether this project is viable or not, whether we should invest our money based on this project data or not. Clear? So this actually shows us what could happen based on how much action we take. Clear? So we also talk about the carbon budgets. Clear? Which will tell us about how much CO2 we can still emit to stay within the safe temperature limits like 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2 degrees Celsius of warming. So we can use the carbon but within a limit. So we have to define those limits as well. So I have given you a broad understanding that what I am going to cover in this particular topic. Clear? So this is my first lecture and we will continue ahead in the next lecture. So I'm ending this lecture here only. Thank you.